Alright, I decided to talk about after-school programs and both their effect on the youth, as well as strategies and different ways you can set up the after-school programs to maximize the positive effects they have on kids. The reason why I chose this is because after I graduate, I'm not really planning on going to graduate school. I'm just planning on working at some type of nonprofit organization. I actually already have a job lined up at a boys' home back in my hometown. And they said I'll always have the job there, and it's a job I can build up as I go. So that's pretty cool. But in the long term, I'd want to change to more of an after school program, because this job position that I have over the summer and then when I graduate too is focus on kids with mental disabilities and things like that. And I just want to get out of that at some point and focus on working at after school programs and kids of all different types, and I guess just the general population of the youth and after school programs and helping them build strong character and stuff like that. So that's why I decided to choose this topic. Over the last decade, youth programs and stuff like that have really been exploding and just coming out all over the place. You have programs like Run the Streets, and I know programs like that have always existed, but it just seems in the last decade, they've really risen up aside from your typical T-ball programs and things like that. I picked out 3 articles. According to the first article, it specifically talks about how after-school programs can be a direct impact on kids' social competence and academic performance. And it basically goes into detail really about the type of program that's being ran and all the different activities in it and how that relates to it. So it really brings out a bunch of different positive ways as well as negative ways to go about running after-school programs. In my paper, I quote Chernoff, the author of the article. He says, "Findings suggest that programs which are demanding and offer challenging, relevant activities have the best chance of helping participants obtain positive academic outcomes." They go on to talk about, how sport activities, how art activities, social activities, and all this go into impacting the kids. And specifically, the case study was very long and drawn out, different ways they isolate kids, as well as just looking at academic grades. They'll do a survey of the kids and be do you attend after school programs? What academic programs do you attend? And they'll just take at the end of the year, they'll take their test score results and grades and compare them to kids who do not. And there's just a bunch of different ways they went about it. There was 4 different test methods they used. They also pointed out that social times had the least amount of impact on kids. That actually, just the least beneficial to the children as far as how they spend their time in an after-school program. Homework was neutral, which was surprising to me. I think that when I think of kids going to after-school programs or doing homework, it would increase their academic, but really it was just kind of they were just tired of doing schoolwork, and then after school they have to set the after-school program and just do homework again. So it was just kind of neutral as far as that effect. In the second article, it talked about basically, instead of looking at a youth program as being successful based on how many kids you bring in, how many kids come to your event, you need to look at the quality of exercises and different just programs that you run, and just different activities, and it's the importance and quality of those and how they relate, instead of just looking at the numbers of the kids that come in, which seems kind of obvious, but a lot of programs are based solely on how many kids they bring in, attendance numbers. So moreover, this is another quote. This is by Hirsch in the second article. He says, or I think she says, "Moreover, in the pursuit of designing quality programs would be better served to look at the features and aspects of implementation that increase program participation and youth engagement, rather than focusing predominantly on enrolling figures and youth attendance." And then the third article I brought up really talked about the negative aspects of it, and basically said that in their study that youth programs across the board cause behavioral issues and disciplinary increase in all students who participate. And they brought up 3 major hypotheses, and they only tested one. The 3 major hypotheses was The first one was that it's set up exactly like the school institution, which is kind of like set in the other article too. And this article actually quoted the first article, which is weird when I was reading through it. It's basically set up exactly like the school institutions. The kids don't want to spend all day being told what to do. It means set up in a classroom setting and then go to an after-school program and have the exact same thing happen to them. The second was that their peers really influence them in the after-school program. And then the third was just that the discipline like was different. Like they're more relaxed at the after-school program and don't have as many rules. So then when they go back to school, it's like being super strict, and they just feel like, well, the club lets me do this, so like I don't know. So they just feel like they're basically, the article says that it's not necessarily that it's leading to behavioral issues, that it could just be the fact that what they see as behavioral issues might not actually be behavioral issues. It just might be the fact that the school's not getting them to do what they want to do. So, but they said that the second two theories weren't tested in this study. They were just things that were brought up to maybe guide like future tests and future results. Basically, I came to the conclusion that there's a lot of there's a lot of ways to create positives, such as like challenging activities and focusing on team building exercises, and this is directly related to both academic achievement and social competence in the youth. This was proven in the first article. And it also talks, the other major point is continuing to make the same mistakes over and over again, such as linking the number of youth kids to how well your program's doing, as well as setting up your programs exactly like the school system that they've been a part of all day will cause a decline in the positive impact the program can have on students and the greater community. And that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
How would you, the programs you've been involved in, how did you relate? What did you see in them that you saw in some of the articles or didn't see in some of the articles?
Like at the Boys and Girls Club, like the days that I did set up a game and it ran successfully, it went so much smoother just because the kids were, happy to be engaged and happy to be doing something different. Even though they said, like at the beginning, they'd act like, oh, I don't want to do a game today, just let us go play the Wii. When they actually like saw what the game was and got engaged, like it was like, you could tell like they just like there wasn't any fighting over who was playing the Wii. They were all working on this like game together. So when I challenged them, even though like I felt like the bad guy at first, like it still like led to like them being like working together and being happier in the long run.
Might it be the carryover from, like you said, basically you said the school causes the behavioral issues sometimes because of their demands.
Yeah.
And so you're making another demand and they think it's the school. They hear the school's voice.
And that was another thing, like at the Learning Center at the Boys and Girls Club, when it used to be set up by one of the workers as like a classroom, another classroom basically, they hated that. They come out of there like complaining about it every day. But.
Okay. Any other questions? It's good information.